Okay, this is a quick video on 7D. Most of the fundamentals for 7D come from 7C, so if you haven't watched that video and you struggle with 7C, you do need to understand that before 7D. So question 1, solve each of the following. Hopefully it's obvious that it is already factorized for you, which means the answers, for example, in the first one will just be 1, -2, and 4. For something like D, we've got x as when it's by itself here, that means that x equals 0 as one of the answers. X is -3 and x is 5 on 2, okay? Add 5 to both sides and divide by 2 to get that x answer. Looking at question 2, it looks like you might have to test answers, do long division, etc., but there's a bit of a trick. Each of the terms has an x variable in it, okay? So unlike the cubic equations where we had to do long division, we actually have a common factor of x that we can bring out. So if I do 2d over here, I've divided everything by x, and so I'm left with x out the front, x squared plus 2x takes 16. So I know x is going to equal 0, it's going to be one of the solutions. And then I need to factorize and solve the quadratic. So sometimes it'll be easy. So when there's no a, we're thinking just of two numbers that add to equal 2 and multiply to be -16, but unfortunately can't think of any numbers, so we're going to have to complete the square. So half of 2 squared is 1 squared, which is 1. So we're adding 1 to make this square here, and we're taking 1 to keep it balanced. Okay, so I've got the same line twice. So now this part of the equation turns into x plus 1 squared, and -16 take 1 is -17. Okay, then we can use dots by making both things, so this can be the square root of 17 squared. So we've got a plus b and a take b, where a is x plus 1 and b is square root of 17. If that's mind-blowing to you, head back into some other videos throughout the sector page about completing the square. So the answers, and just tricking you there, it's -1 plus or minus square root of 17. Okie dokie, moving on to question 4. Question 4 is the whole caboodle. So we are solving a cubic. If we're looking at 4a, feel free to pause it and see if you can do some on your own. Step 1 is to look at the constant at the end of the cubic, which is 30. We know that the factors are going to multiply to equal 30. So possible factors as solutions that we could try are +1, -1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15, and 30. All the numbers that multiply to equal 30. Step 2, once you've found one of them that when you've substituted it in, it equals 0, then you know it's a solution. For example, if you substitute in 3 and it works, equals 0, then x take 3 is one of the missing factors of the cubic. So the word factors up here is talking about that n number. It's just giving us a ballpark of numbers to test. So this section is just how do we find out numbers to test. Down here I'm talking about the factors that are in the cubic. So here's the end answer. These are the factors. One of them is x take 3. So yes, technically, if they're all simple like this, you could just keep testing all of these numbers until you find 3 that equals 0. But that's for another, don't do that, do long division. So step 3 is to complete long division by using the cubic divided by your newly found factor, x take 3. A reminder in this one that if you're missing one of the terms, so in this one there was no x squared, just add it in there with a 0, and otherwise your long division won't work out. Again, go back to the previous video of 7C on how to do long division if you need help. The answer up the top of the long division is x squared plus 3x take 10, I hope. And when you're doing your working out, you need to write this step. So you write out the linear factor you found. This is the quadratic factor. Together they make the cubic. Step 5 is to solve that quadratic. Okay, and luckily -2 times 5 is -10, and -2 plus 5 is 3. So that one could be solved nice and easily. So the answers are 3, 2, and -5. There will be a non-calculator part in this test, so it's important to know this process, but feel free currently to use your calculator to check your answers. For the first time now, we are pressing, if you're using equation, we're going poly, and we're going 3 degree, so we're working with a cubic. Cool, hope that's helped you through 7D.